Uhlmann reporting for Katie Chats here at SMITHEE TV in downtown Toronto with the critically acclaimed folk singer Brenna Maccrimmon. What inspired you to get into Turkish and Vulcan music?
The short story, it was a trip to the local public library, and it was a warm summer, and I didn't have enough to do, I guess, and so I was taking out albums, because way back in those days it was only albums, and I'm just exploring the world of music basically through what was there on vinyl. And when I heard the music from Turkey and Eastern Europe, literally it caught my ear, and from there it was a slow process of trying to find people in the Toronto area who actually did this kind of music and went from being just a listener to someone who was actually trying to learn. And then, like a giant snowball rolling down the hill and picking up steam, I eventually decided that to really learn more about this stuff, it was great working with people here, but I really needed to go to the source, as it were. So I made a number of trips to Turkey, one of which ended up, I thought I would go for 6 months to a year, and it ended up being 5 years.
In Istanbul?
In Istanbul, yeah.
And how did that affect you, and who were you learning from while you were there?
I was really lucky, and I think that when you, as an outsider coming into that, they're thrilled. They're thrilled that you are so interested in their culture and music tradition. And in some cases, especially at the time that I was there, interest was really waning among young people. So a lot of people who'd been doing this music for a long time just sort of felt like, oh, you know, people don't care about us anymore. And so here's this keener foreigner showing up. And so, but they were really, people were generally so generous and helpful to me, and I was really, really lucky to work with, I have to say, not just learn from, but work with. So as you work with them, you learn from them. But anyway, some really great musicians, traditional folk musicians, Turkish classical musicians, which is a whole other tradition, and I think the gypsy or roman music, which is its own category. Very, very, very fortunate to work with some real masters, and so it's extremely humbling because they're so, you know, they're so jaw-droppingly great. But also, I think when I came back here, I was a little like, oh, it's not that. You know, you're used to a certain scene, and you know, it wasn't here. So.
Wow. And you've been in the business since the late '80s. How have you seen things change over the years?
One thing that's really been really nice is that I think slowly people are becoming more open to it, and maybe in the last 5 years or so, you know, Balkan music in particular, it was like a really hard one. Of all the sort of world music traditions, you know, Latin, African traditions got accepted, even Indian classical music, you know, there was just a lot more of it. And I think Balkan music, by and large, because there's a lot of quirky rhythms in it, that, you know, it's not, you don't tap your foot in 2/4 or 3 or whatever. So it takes a little bit of a different, maybe a little bit more time if you haven't grown up with it. And so it's been really nice in the last few years. There's been a real resurgence or emergence of brass music, Vulcan brass music, and around North America now there are little pockets of people playing brass. And what's really nice about that is that the dancing comes along with it. And if you look at any tradition that comes from any traditional music, basically there's the strongest ones always have a dance component. I mean, think about it. Latin, there's this great dance tradition, and most African musics have a great dance tradition associated with them. And, so it's really, I think that's kind of nice that it's also, dance is coming with the music, and kind of the way it should be. You know, they're not distinct arts. Yeah.
And what was it like for you to be nominated for a Juno Award back in '98?
Oh, it was a long time ago. It was really, well, it was kind of a thrill, and I was stunned in a lot of ways, and I did not expect to win it, and I didn't. Partly because I think what I was saying, that this Balkan music, in the kind of Turkish music that I was doing is basically a Balkan variety of Balkan music, and you know, too many odd rhythms, and but to go there and to be there, I don't know, it was just like, there's red carpets, and you're sitting in the audience, and whoa, look, look at all these like the really famous people are all there, and it's a thrill. It is a kind of a thrill, and yeah.
Awesome. And you've been teaching as well. Can you tell me a little bit about what that experience has been like?
I love teaching, actually, and I have been teaching Vulcan singing in Turkish song or whatever you want to call it since the mid-90s, I guess. And usually, I've done a few little workshops in different places, but usually I do it at very specialized workshops in the U.S. that focus on Vulcan music and dance. So everybody is there is already kind of a keener. But it's a real thrill, and one thing that I love doing is going into a group of people and singing, demonstrating a song, and they go, we're not going to get that. And it's like, no, we're going to get it, and you break it down, and you sing it, and you work on it, and by the end, people are like, we're doing it, and that's a really, really lovely thing. And another lovely thing is that when I get messages from people that say, I'm still singing that song, and that's like, yes, that's how this lives. That's how it goes on. It's not by keeping it all into yourself, but by passing it along and finding different ways that it can be used. So actually, I was very, very lucky over a course of years to work at the Toronto Theatre Company, where the director and the playwright were integrating traditional music into the play, and so that was a really interesting challenge. Is how does this work? And it ended up being very good in the end. I think I can say honestly that one. Fringe in Edinburgh, I can't remember what year, but the play did actually very well, and I think one of its strengths was integrating this traditional music into a very intense drama, so that was goodness.
We have a variety of albums here that are your own. Are there any ones in particular that really stand out to you and that are close to you?
Well, they all are. Each one is like a little baby, but well, this is the one that got the Juno Award nomination, Karshlama, and it's, boy, I can't explain why in 2,000 words or less why this one is important, but this recording has taken me many places in the world, so I think that, apart from the pride that I have it was my first time doing something from start to finish, and so, even that I completed it was kind of like, oh, good girl. But then the fact that even to this day, this was done in 1998, and even to this day, I still get nice things about it. So it's really, I guess, good to know that you did something good that lasted, because so much of what we do is transient. They're all, oh boy, there's so many reasons to be thrilled with. But okay, this is the one that I did in 2008, I guess, and Kulak Misafri, and this one is a little harder to listen to. But it's, I'm very proud of this one because I have so many guest musicians on this, and how wonderfully people were committed themselves to performing the different kinds of music and the different styles of music, and incredible talents. Like every person on here is a marvelous musician in their own right. And to be able to bring them all together into one place and do something that is actually fairly cohesive. And I worked with my wonderful brothers on this, so they helped me with the mixing, and which was really difficult. And so I feel very good about this one. And this one did very well in Europe.
And what's next for you? What are you currently working on?
Actually, that's a really interesting question. I've been trying to, pick streams. I mean, sometimes, and I'm sure anybody who's an artist knows this, is that you put your little feelers out and you start stirring a whole bunch of different pots, and then you try and figure out which one's going to boil over. And then you rush to that one. I think I've been writing a little bit more myself, and I think it's absolutely insane that there are so many fantastic singers and songwriters out there, and so many great songs already. Why would you do more? But I think sometimes there's things in you that you want to put out, and there's a time. So I think the next thing that I'm going to work on is going to maybe be about half songs that I wrote, and then the other half is going to be traditional English and Scottish stuff, as well as a little bit of Turkish. So kind of, I hate to say I'm exploring my roots, but you know, maybe there's a little bit, maybe there's a time for that. So I think that's kind of the direction that I want to work. And I say it's crazy because there's so much out there like that. So whatever, you do it and you wish it the best, I suppose. Yeah.
And where is the best place to find out more information on you and all of your great music online?
Well, that's, my website is pathetic. That's greengoatmusic.ca, and one of these days I keep saying that. I'll fix it up, but I'll fix it up. I'm kind of on Facebook and around, and Brenna Maccrimmon. There shouldn't be too many of them, although sometimes overzealous fans take on my name and my picture on Facebook.
Oh, wow.
It's kind of bizarre.
Yeah.
No, they're Turkish. They're not Canadian. Canadians really don't care.
Great. Well, thank you so much, and congratulations on all of your success, and best of luck with your upcoming work. It sounds very exciting.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Katie Uhlmann reporting for Katie Chats here at SMITHEE TV in downtown Toronto.